Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic in Python, that is functions. So before explaining the topic, let me just show you a simple code. So in this code, if you observe, in the first part we are taking two values, adding two values, and the sum is being printed on the screen. In the second part, we are again taking two another different values, adding those two values, and the sum is being printed on the screen again. In the third part also we are taking another two values, uh, those two are added and the sum is again is printed on the screen. So if you observe, the action is being repeated multiple times in each part. So in this case, we can just take the action, put it in the function format and use it multiple times. So that is the definition of the function. So yeah, let me just explain the definition again. A function is nothing but it is some reusable code that takes arguments as input, and it will perform some action, and then the return value is given as a result. So to define a function, we have to use the def keyword followed by the function name, and to call the function we have to call the function name, write the function name followed by the parenthesis. Inside that, if we have any parameters, we can just pass the arguments. So for this repetitive code, the simplified version into the function format, I will show it in a practical way. I have opened a Jupyter notebook. Uh, Before that, let me just show you a syntax again. Syntax of function. So def keyword is used for the function and followed by the function name. Inside the parentheses, we have to pass the variables. So the variables are not a mandatory thing. Even without parameters, the function will be uh, executed. Inside the function, we have to write the code, and next is the return statement, and this is also an optional one. So this is a simple format of a function. So when it is executed, nothing will be exactly executed, because the compiler will see the def keyword and it will memorize the code for later use, but it will not execute it at that point of time. To use the function, we have to call the function by giving its name. If there are any parameters, if then we have to pass the parameter values as well. So this is the function definition and the calling of the function, right? So types of function will be a simple function, function with parameters, function with return value, and the function with default parameters. Simple function is nothing but without any parameters and without any return value. So let's say if we have removed a return value. Now a simple function is this one. Now next is function with the parameters. So if we pass any parameters, so this is the function with parameters. So whenever I pass any values, these values will be given in this parameters, and with these values the code will be executed. So this is the function with parameters. And next is function with return values. So return values is, we just have to write some return value and that will be given back to the function. And the result can be stored. So now when I run this function, 2 and 3 will be passed into A and B, and based on that the code will be executed, and in the C the C will be returning back to the function, and that will be stored in the result. And function with default parameters, nothing but, let's say I will give some default values for this parameters. I will remove the variables here. Now when I run this, it will, when there are no values in the parameters and Then if the function is called, the default parameters will be called inside the code. So this is nothing but a function with the default values. So this is all about the syntax of different types. Let me just show you with an example of addition. Addition of numbers. I'm just starting with a simple example. Later on we can deep dive into the topic. I will say add. Mm, so I am passing two values. I will do the sum, and for now I will use the print statement. Print statement. Inside that I will say sum of the given values is, I will say it as sum. So to use that we have to write inside the flower brackets. Yeah. So now I have to call the function. Inside that I have to give two parameters. Right? Now let me execute it. So, yeah. The output is the sum of the given values is 5. So the main purpose of the function is um, the repetition, the reusable code, right? So we have simplified it, and we are now we have to reuse it. Let's say I will call it again. I want to call it again. I can write it multiple times. See, the output is printed multiple times. So now this is the more efficient way to write the code, to concise the code into one function format and use it multiple times, right? So this is a solution of the previous repetitive code which I have given. Right, I'm just changing the values. 100 plus 200. See, the output is given. So this code is simplified into this version using the function format. So we have discussed the function definition, function for syntax, and the types of the function. And also we have concise the repetitive code into a simple code. Now let me just show you a simple, let us just work on a mini project, that is simple grading system, student grading system, sorry. So this is nothing but we will be taking the student names, their marks, and based on the mark, like if it is above 90, we have to show it as A grade. If it is if it is falling between 80 and 90, B grade, you know the grading system, right? So here this is the output. Like it is taken 5 students numbers and printed each marks and their grades. So let's see how this can be done using a functions. Let me just clear it. Yeah, student grading system using functions. First and foremost, we have to first define the grading pattern. Like above 90 it will be A grade, B grade, C grade, all that we have to define. So again, def keyword and followed by the function name. I will say it as grades. Inside that, so without a marks we cannot define any grade, right? So parameter will be marks, a semicolon will be a must. Now I will say, so as there are many grades, we have to use a if function, if for loop, sorry, if loop. Inside that I will write a condition, that is if marks is greater than or equals to 90, semicolon, I will say return A grade. Now I will write else if marks are falling under, marks are less than 90. Okay, let's just take from 91. If the marks are falling under 90 and 80, so I have to return B grade. And if the marks are falling under 81, 80 and 71, semicolon is a must. Don't forget it. We will return it as C grade. And as if the marks are falling under 71 and 60, return D grade. In all the other conditions, that is the marks are less than 60, it has to return E grade, right? So let me just try it with simple, let's say 35. Sorry, the function name, and inside that I've given 35 as marks, and this 35 will be taken here, and 35. So each condition will be executed. Is 35 greater than 90? No. Is 35 falling under 80 and 90? No. Is 35? No. No. So it will come under this category and it will print E, right? So now this is working fine. Let me just, so this is we are grades function. Now let me write the second part. First we have defined the grades, right? Now we have to take the inputs from the user. Let's say a class teacher wants to define the grades for 50 students in a class A. So this teacher will pass all the students and their marks, right? So first we have to take the input from the teacher. So in order to do that, we have to now write a input function. We will set df again, and the function name will be input the grades. So inside that we have nothing. So we should take each student details, the name and the marks, right? So first we have to know how many students are there in that particular class. So let's say n equals 2. We want input from the teacher. So we'll ask her by saying the prompt, enter the number of students in the class. So this has to be in integer, right? So I'm just giving it as int format. Now we got, let's say teacher has entered as 50 students in a class. Now for each student we should take name and their grades. So in order to take that, I say for each student, right? For each student in the in the class, for each student in the class, I have to take the name. That will be again input from the teacher. We don't know the names of the students of her class, so we will just give the prompt as enter the name of the student, right? Next we have to ask her the grade of that particular student. We will say again the prompt will be enter the grade of that student. So again this has to be int. Okay, now that we have taken the name and grade, names and grades, but we have to store it in some place, right? So we have to store and we have to calculate the grade, and then we have to store it in a format. Let's say we want to calculate the, sorry, this has to be the mark. Now we want to calculate the grade. A grade will be, grade is not an input. Based on the based on the marks we are calculating the grade. Now it's time to call this function. So now we will be calling the grade. Inside the parentheses we have to pass the marks. We have to pass the marks of the student. Marks. Let's say student has entered 30. Sorry, teacher has entered 30 as a student marks. So that will be passed here, and it will call the grades function, and it will execute the code, and it will return a value to the grade. So now we have collected the name, marks, and grade. So in order to print back to the teacher, we have to store it in some way, right? So now let me just take a tuple. I will create an empty student. Now here I will store each student name, marks, and grade inside the student. So this tuple topic is another topic. This will be discussed in detail. So I will give name, marks, and grade. So this each student marks will be added to the student tuple. So this has to be done for each student, right? So it has to be inside the for loop. Now we have stored all the student details. So now our job is done. We have taken the input from the teacher. We are calculating the grade, and now it's time to give the output. So let me just say a student tuple will be returned. So now the third part is returning the output, right? So returning the output is nothing but here in this you can see the student grades will be beautifully shown in the screen. So each student marks and the grades. So let's see how it can be. Here also I will write define the output. So define the output. We want something. We want the parameter should be as we have stored all the details in the student. So it has to be taken here parenthesis, and here, and the first one is student grades. So let's say print. I'll just say star. Okay. Next is print student grades. To look better, I'm just adding all those. Just to look better, I'm adding all those. Okay, so this is this format, and now we have to print each student, their marks, and their grade. So in order to do that, uh, we should call this tuple, right? For a student, for each student in the student, we should so we should call all the details which we have stored in the student student tuple, right? So we will say again name, marks, and grade equals to student. So it's time to print all those. Print. Inside that statement, I will print all the details in this format. The first is the student name. Student name followed by the semicolon, and then the marks followed by semicolon, the marks, comma, let's say grade, and the grade. So here this is a so basically all the details will be stored in the student tuple. Now we are taking back that student, adding all the we are retrieving each student details, and we are giving assigning it in the name, marks, and grade, and we are printing it back, right? So this is the definition of three different functions. One is grades function, another is taking the input from the user and returning the output to the user. So now, yeah, so if I run this code, nothing will execute. Why? Why? Because all these are functions. We are not calling anything. Now it's time to call the functions. That is, I want this output. Actually, first I have to take the inputs, right? So I have to call this function. I will call this function. So when I call this function, there is a return statement. That means it will whatever the details are stored in the student, that will be returned back to the function. So that I have to store it somewhere. So I will say class A. So class A details will be stored here, and now it's time to return the output. Even now it will not print anything, because yeah, it will just ask for, let's say, 1. Yeah, it will just ask the values, but it will not print any output. Now to print the output, I have to call this output function. Inside the parameters, I will say class A. I am passing class A details, and it will print the details of the class A. Now I will run the function. So it is asking for me the details. Enter the number of students. I've entered 2. So name of the student, and the marks. Oh, it's input grade. Let's say students. Okay, let's see now. 3, Tina, 23. Um, think I have done a simple mistake, that is, yeah, while appending we have to give in this format for a tuple. Now it will be executed perfectly. Name student is not defined. Okay, sorry, students. Name student is not defined. From where it's coming? Line 23. Okay, sorry, latent students. It is my bad. Now it will execute it perfectly. Yeah. See, it has given the class A details. So let me run one more time and I will show you. So first we have defined three different functions and we are just executing two functions, that is input grades. That means it first this will be executed. That means first the compiler will go to input redirected to this input grades function. It will go inside it. It will create a new students tuple. Inside it, it will ask. Now this line is executed. Enter the number of students in the class. Now I will say 3 students. I have entered 3. So when I say 3 and enter, so it is saying for each value in the range n, like it will be executed as 0 to 3 for each 0 to 3 for 3 students. For each student, it will ask for the name of the student. It will ask for the marks. See, it is asking for the mark. I will enter it as mark, and it will again ask for a mark. I will say now again. It is a loop. Actually, it is a loop. For 3 times, it will ask for the name and student, and in the back end, it is calculating the grade also. The third step is calculating the grade. It will go back to the grade. It will go back to the grades function. It will take the first I have inputted 23, right? So 23 will be taken in the marks parameter. It will check for this condition. No. It will check for this condition. No, and it will come back to here and the e value will be returned back to the grade. So it will be stored in the grade. So like that, for each 3 student, it will be asking me. So for each 3 students, it will ask me the values. '92. So now it has returned back. So whenever all the inputs are taken, all these values are being added to the student tuple one by one. Name, marks, and grade are added, appended, and that those are all returned back to the class A. Like it is practically like student is giving, teacher is giving all the inputting all the names and marks of a class A students, and in the class A again it is storing back all the names, marks, and the grades. So all these are stored again in the class A. Now it is time to return the output, right? So to return, we have output. We have written a output function. Inside it, we have to give a class A, right? Class A I've given. Now this will be executed. Student grades. This is a print statement. It will execute, and for each student in students, let's say for in a class A there are 3 students. Just now we have got all the details from the teacher. So all the details will be retrieved back into this name, marks, and grade, and those will be printed. See, all the details will be for 23 it is E grade, 34 it is E grade, 92 it is A grade. So now we can use it multiple times. Let's say teacher has multiple classes. Let's say class B, class B, class C, So a teacher can have multiple classes. She can be teaching multiple classes, right? So now she want to execute three different classes. I will execute it. Hmm. Yeah, when I execute it. Oh, sorry. Okay. Huh. Now I will say for class A, let's say I have, as a teacher, I have 5 students. Geeta, she got 92. Tina got 55, 56. Ikita got 56 again. Omkar got, he just entered without entering. Let me take simple attributes. Deepika 93, Tina 25, and so first part is executed in class A. There are 2 students, Deepika and Tina. Those marks and their grades are given. And in the second class, it is asking for the second class. Let's say I have 1 student only. She is Geeta again. She got 95. Her marks are entered. See, 95 is A grade. And it is executing for the third time, that is class C. In class C, I have 5 students. Nipun 33, 56. See, all those marks are given here. So this is the purpose of functions. We can a sim a simple code can be written in a function format and it can be used multiple times. So this is a simple student grading system using the functions. Thank you so much.